Hi guys, I'm Scratch, and today I'm going to give you a special tour of this, my mega factory. And what I'm going to try and focus on while I'm doing that tour is what I've learned from my pre 1.0 Satisfactory experience and what I'm going to take into playing Satisfactory 1.0. And what lessons have I learned, what do I want to improve, what I want to do better. Unscripted video today, might be a bit more rambly, but hopefully you get something out of it anyway. First thing I want to take forward to 1.0 is finishing things, doing them as they come up. You'll see a lot of unfinished stuff in here. This factory is producing everything I want it to produce, but there's a lot of undecorated stuff, unsupported stuff, things like that. This is why I've been holding off showing it off, but I've kind of decided to not play this save anymore and just kind of save myself for 1.0 and put all my effort into that so I don't get burnt out trying to finish this and then not want to play 1.0, which would be great. An example of finishing something would be these train tracks. As you can see, they are completely unsupported and a massive mess. I just kind of built on them, and for 1.0 I wanted a proper plan for that kind of thing. Okay, so this factory is basically designed to fill the storage that's at the bottom of it. It was designed to kind of make sure I had everything I needed while I was out. But yeah, it produces pretty much one of everything in the game that you would need to build with. So the things that are missing from in here are like space elevator parts and a few other little bits and pieces, but 99% is here. So you've got the more advanced stuff over this side, and you've got the more basic production over here. This is one of the first things I designed that I actually quite like the look of. Obviously there's some messiness with the lights and the belts and stuff, but you know, it looks quite cool. Another thing to note is I actually did design this pre-lumin, so a lot of the rooms will not be lit, but this one is, because I put lots of lights in it. So yeah, I mean, not really much more to say about this. And if we go out here, I started decorating some of it, not all of it. So I decorated some of this power here, and this is where all the power comes into the base. It goes up there. I'll show you the rest in a minute. And we have power storage here, which I think looks quite cool. This is where some oil comes in for my weapons plant, which I might get to. Yeah, it's just a messy little train station up there. I quite like this little design here. Ooh, which way the best way to go? Let's take you up here. Yeah, so it might be a bit more rambly this video than my number ones are, but I've not got time to produce a video in the next few weeks, so I thought I'd get this one done for you. And this I quite liked, this little bridge here, and the lights underneath it, and the kind of twisted. It was quite difficult to do, but you know, I think it turned out alright. So through here is also a bit of a mess. It's where all the power cabling comes in. Torch? No. There we go, so in photo mode it will come on. So yeah, messy cabling in here. But that's for this room up above, which I'll take you into now. And here we have the control, basically all the power for this factory, all the power for that side, train stations, oil production, that's power station. That's the main switch for it. That side, it's split into two sides, F1 and F2, hub power, F2 main, and weapons factory, which is up here. This is a secondary storage, which is anything you might need. This side's drop off, so anything you bring in, like animal parts, slugs, it will take to get processed, sinks. And this side is anything you might need to grab, like different types of fuel, color cartridges, you know, miners, anything you might need for exploration, stuff like that. And that side, below here we have what was going to be like a hypertube hub. But I didn't really get around to doing much of them. I'll show you a bit more of that when we jump into the actual factories, but I'll just go through the hub first. It's all broken up into here. I'll show you quickly where all my ammo and stuff is produced. I did have a massive weapon factory, which I will do a video on at some point. I had to delete it because I needed another factory in that space, but you can see here we've got all kind of like obelisks and that being produced in this area. Again, this is done after looming, so it's nice and lit up. Try and take you through this quickly. Belts, taking everything into the storage area for it, which I'll show you in a minute. Let's go back here. So in the hub, like you saw that little mini. Where am I going? You saw that little mini storage that I said you can get. Everything's being produced in these things. This is where I started to get into like theming areas and stuff. So it's all like themed. Obviously, this is where your biomass is produced. See that? Yeah. And you got a little workbench with a few of the little things. And a few signs that just make it feel a little bit more realistic. That's where I started experimenting with this kind of stuff. But they all follow a very similar format. They all look kind of the same. These are all these weapons, ammunition going up there. But yeah, they all follow exactly the same blueprint. Basically, they're not a blueprint. I built them before they were blueprints. But you know. So in here is where I've got ammunition storage. So you've got all your obelisks here. Display over there with the detonators in, and then you've got the same for rifle ammo and rebar gun. And again, this is where I started experimenting with things. So if we go down here, we have a maintenance, and then through there you'll get the maintenance for the back of these. But if we go down here, a secret corridor. Up this one, and then through here. You can see I've got a secret firing range, which is quite fun to build. All the lights and points and belts going through. I can show you a bit of how it works. Through this side, put it through. Oh, it's locked. Let me in. Yeah, see, and you can enter the actual area. Yeah, it's pretty simple to do. A little bit of fun. I find having little projects like this, when you're working on such a big, massive project, having little fun things you can do in between that really breaks it up and helps you not go crazy. What's out here? Oh yeah, my logistics, like the sign says. So a little detour off the side here. We have my personal train station, the hub, a little bit of extra storage in case I can't be bothered to walk down there, just for gas filters, biomass, fuel, and a sink. So if I come back here, I can drop things off, and then my hub just out here. And then yeah, awesome sink, ticket, awesome shop even, and all the normal stuff, and then a bunch of storage of items you might need, you know, like a hover pack, lots of hover packs and jet packs and coffee cups. Need some coffee cups, obviously. There is a system down in the storage room as well to fill this, so there's a container that works the other way where you can dump things into it and it will come and fill this train station up. I don't use it that often because it's a little bit slow. I like this little bit of design here as well, quite nice. So you can go up these steps to get there, or you can go the other way. Let's go up here again, and we're back at the ammunition, and then up this way. Again, nice bit of fun design on the wall there. More of these producing. Everyone has these signs in, so you can see it's biomass in, biomass, and mycelia in to make fabric out. One thing I'm planning to do for my next save is label things a lot more. I do it a little bit, but not enough. And yet, turbo fuel, iodine filters, other types of empty canisters, liquid biofuel. And we're right at the top. There's some little balcony here, which apparently we can't get up. Oh, should be able to step up that. Come on. Yep, and that's the top of the hub area. So the rest of the factory is all these massive things. It's got fly on. None of this was built with mods, but I've got advanced game settings on just so I can fly around. So we'll use the hypertubes and we'll go over to F1. We will start with, not the control room, we'll go to the train stations. I could maybe run over here, but we'll run back and I'll show you it. The main bus and everything that takes everything out. But yeah, in here, let's turn our torch back on. We have train stations. Bring everything in. It's labelled. What goes in each one. It said copper because I used to have more train stations here, but I had so many trains coming in, it just all got a bit squashed. So I kind of cut down how many trains. So you know you've got like what's going in there. Concrete, Caterium, aluminium in there, and then you've got your first level of logistics above that, which is quite neat. Yeah. They make all your basic levels of production, which I'll show you in a minute. But they all feed into the rooms above. It's the quickest way to get there. It's been such a long time since I went through any of this, so excuse me if I get lost in my own factory. I think there should be some stairs here. Yes, cool. They go up from the train station and up to all the levels. No, we've jumped past the level. No. They don't go to every level, do they? Okay. Right, let's use fly. So here's the first level of actual factories. Now, I just started designing this before I was very good at the game. So, there's my black out there. Every room pretty much looks like this. It's 10 constructors, all feeding into the ceiling like this. This one does iron plates, I think. Yep. I think the next one's iron plates as well. No, iron rods. But yeah, in a row there will be all the iron stuff, all the copper stuff. So this will be screws, and I think the next one's screws as well. None of it's being used at the moment because I've got my sinks on. No, iron plates. But I had to rejig a lot of this because I just basically did 4 rooms, 10 constructors each for every single thing. And I had to redo all my supply factories because I was not getting enough. So as you can see here, exactly the same thing, just for copper. So I'm going to go through all of them, go down this way. Same thing for steel here. Jump my way through. Blueprinter room. Again, this was a big empty space, but the blueprinter is in here. So yeah, I think the lesson I've learned from this is to like just have a plan, because this I just put in, here you go, 4 rooms of Caterium that are exactly the same. I had to do a lot of work to get this all up and running at 100% because I wasn't supplying it with enough. I just kind of assumed I was. So, I mean, that was a very, very early game mistake. Ooh. That was. But now I know better. In 1.0 definitely I'll have a lot more of a plan. I don't think in 1.0 I'm going to do a mega factory. I think I'm going to try and condense it all down into a lot smaller factories, but I'll have to wait and see. I haven't got a concrete plan for that yet. And then in here is slightly different because it's producing aluminium, so you need the assemblers. So it's laid out, but it's essentially the same idea. It's just 4 rooms, they're exactly the same. I try and keep them interesting with walkways and stuff. Obviously my wiring when I started was really messy, really messy. The other thing I'm going to keep from this is the idea of starting with basic at the bottom and then leading up to more advanced stuff on top, which I'll show you in a sec. We will head up there. Obviously various buses around the place. These buses take things over to F2, which produces even more complex stuff. And then above each factory, we go in here. You can see masses of logistics. And again, I quite like how much space I gave myself here for logistics. I quite often don't give myself enough room for things. In here, as you can see, I have tons of room for all this. And it's a blessing. Yeah, I definitely will be doing more of that. And then you go up basically to the final floor. Well, not the final floor, but as you can see here, each floor has like 2 levels of logistics. So this is just to get them to the right place. So from those factories just below up to the next ones, but into the right rough area. So on this next floor, I can actually do the feeding of each thing without. So I get it there, like it's coming up into there, and then I can do my manifolds on this level. So you could call it a logistics level and a manifold level, really. So again, that's quite a nice idea. I'll probably be keeping for the next save, is having a logistics level where you get the parts where they need to go. So you send them long distances from where they are to where they need to go. And then the next level up will be manifolds. So a logistics level and a manifold level. Again, basically lots of manifolds under here. Not that interesting. And then at the top here, I wanted to experiment a bit more with shapes. So I kind of made like mini factories on top of this massive factory. So in here, I believe we have cable. Yep, cable being produced. You can see they all stay up the similar idea of feeding up to the next level, even though there isn't a next level here. I kept that kind of going. And they're all interconnected with walkways. I'd started doing this. And then, yeah, they have logistics at the top that basically just feeds them back down, that I'll show you in the main bus in a minute. Into this one, which I think is rotors. Quite like this design here as well. It's quite nice. So you have 2 separate, but again, you can see this a very similar thing. Machines on the ground feeding up. This is quite a nice trick as well. I should find out you don't actually really need to do, but it allows you to spin it. So I can have that like that. I found a new way of doing this. I might make a tutorial on that. Oop. Yeah, and then I start to get a bit more experimental in these next rooms. Just with the light, I started to light it up and stuff. You can see this is encased industrial beams being made in here. And all of these rooms are making encased industrial beams. If you've got any questions about how much is being made, where, and what recipes I'm using, please feel free to drop them in the comments. Oh, and by the way, thank you so much, guys. On my last video, I gave a shout to get me to the 500 mark on subscribers, and I am so close. You guys really helped me out there, and it got me incredibly close to my goal of 500. So I'm hoping very soon I'll hit that goal, and obviously my next goal will be 1,000. So I'd really appreciate if you guys could help me carry on with that and build my YouTube. You guys have been so kind in the comments and with your subscribes. I cannot thank you guys enough. But yeah, carrying on, we can see I'm getting a bit more experimental here with how I'm laying out my assemblers. So thinking about different what's the word? Floor plans for the factories, basically. Then not only does this make it look more interesting, it's a lot more interesting to build than just building like lines of conveyors. I've got a video coming soon. say soon, at some point in the works, about how to avoid burnout when you're building something big like this, because it's really easy to start a big project like this and get burnt out and not finish it. I mean, I can talk, this isn't really finished, but yeah, it's very difficult to keep going on this kind of thing sometimes. But I'll leave the tips for that video. In here we've got modular frames, so again you can see I'm starting to like lay things out slightly more differently, having this kind of like one up, one down, and one at the top, making it look a little bit more interesting than previous factories and rooms. In here, trying to use the conveyor belts. I've given tips before about, ooh, it's not producing anything. Why are you not producing anything? Oh, you are, you're just going slow. Okay. I like to see motion in my factories. Obviously all my sinks for this factory are turned off right now to help my frame rate. But as you can see, running down here with all these running and all the frames going over your head would look quite cool if it was all running. It gives your factory a little bit more motion. It would have it otherwise. Last thing on this side of the factory I want to show you guys is a little bit redundant because I kind of broke all the hypertubes, but I'll show you it anyway. It's this kind of control room and hub. Oh, hang on. Thank you. Right up here. I quite like the shape of it. No, autosave incoming. Okay, sorry about that. Back from the autosave. I've turned them off now, so won't have any more of those interruptions, hopefully. So yeah, this is the hypertube hub and control room for this side. I don't know how necessary it was, but it was fun. Okay, it was fun to do. All I did was basically build a circle and then extend out a few of the sections to put hypertubes in. And as we can see, if I go in here, oh no, I can't go in there. Oh, there's a window there. There we go. Up we go. Now you can see you can go to iron processing, steel processing, etc., etc. And then in the center here, we have all the different switches to turn all the different things on and off. This was a nightmare to hook up because I hadn't planned my power. My power was all over the place. It was all higgledy-piggledy. It was crazy. So I had to go through and rewire the entire side of this factory. It was a nightmare. So another lesson there is pre-plan. Think ahead. I applied it in a lot more factories of just like thinking, am I going to have a control room? How am I going to lay out the wiring so it's simple to go back to if I need to go back to it later? So yeah, definitely if you're building something big, bear in mind keeping it simple for yourself in the future. Like you don't want to screw yourself over and have to redo a bunch of stuff. And if you do, try and make it easy. And then yeah, up here we just have a little radio tower and a little bit so you can see the view because we're nice and high up. So my nuclear build over there. If you want to see a video very similar to this one about that build, then click on the card in the top corner now. I do a similarly rambly video talking about how I designed that. So let's take a hypertube back down to the control area. Where are we going? Hub, main hub, there we go, and there we go. And let's hope this is connected because I deleted a bunch of these when I was reworking stuff. Let's see if this goes all the way. I think this one does because it goes, yeah it does, it goes on the outside of the building. It goes under the main bus, which I'll walk up to next one, I'll show you it. Whee! Okay, so I could take the hypertube to the 2F2, but I'm going to walk just to show you. So you have the main bus coming down here, and that gets sorted down here into all the different storage areas. And we can wander up here and walk along the main bus, seeing everything below us. High, you can never see it. Look at that. And then down here we have torch back on. So I haven't lit this yet. All the sinks that would be sinking things if they were on, and the switch to turn them on right here. Let's turn them on. And it's exactly the same on the other side of the factory. So you see everything gets sunk. A thing I learned from this is basically I don't need a sink for every single item. I could have just sushi belted all this and made it all a lot easier than having like all of these smart splitters. I'm not producing full belts of any of this. On the other side, I might be producing full belts of stuff. I am, like Quick-Wire, I'm producing a full belt of, so that's fine. But here, I am not producing full belts of these things. So they do not need their own individual sinks. I could have just sushi belted all of this in. If you don't know what a sushi belt is, just Google it. Lots of great content creators have done videos about how to use sushi belts. I stupidly didn't want to use them for no good reason, but this is a great example of where you should use one, because what it'll do is it will simplify your factory down. It will make it a lot easier to understand. And again, I had to rebuild this because I couldn't fit, I hadn't put enough sinks in. I thought I hadn't put enough sinks in, and instead of adding a sushi belt, I made it stupidly overcomplicated like this. So the lesson from that I've learned is just keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple. There's no need to go overcomplicated where it's unnecessary to. See, look, I mean, those aren't going anywhere for some reason. They should be sinking over here. Oh, those are. Because they're coming out. Okay, I get it. But yeah, see what I mean? Like, yeah, I come back to it, and I can't remember how it works, which is never a good thing. Which is like, so I'm going to start signposting a lot more and trying to simplify my production down. So I'm not like overcomplicating things just for the sake of it, you know? And it will help you out in the long run. So yeah, we've down there, we've got train stations like we had in the last one, not as many. You see the main hub over there, and then we go up to the first level of production in here. Something I like about this factory as well, it's all walkable. You can walk around the whole thing without using the hypertow tubes and get to anywhere you want, which I think is really good. So in here, again, I really started messing around with like layouts. So we have this, which is making heavy modular frames, and I needed more steel, so I added two little constructors here, adding steel pipes into this production, and I think it looks quite cool. So it's an example of mixing up your production lines, not just putting a row of manufacturers and then putting all the constructors together. Maybe bundle them together in this kind of way, and it makes it a little bit more interesting for you. And ooh, little present. Right up. Interesting for you, and gives the factory a bit more of an interesting look. Here again, I'm messing with like layouts, so I've got one there and then the 4 there because I needed 5. And again, they're going up, and then it's in the other side here. Instead of just doing exactly the same thing, I just mirrored it. So we have a mirror. So lots of different ways to lay it out. You see, I like to play with how I lay out my factories. Again, just for the pure simple, it makes it more interesting. That's why none of my factories look the same. Like, I love people who can build an entire factory that looks, you know, looks like it's built by the same person, has that consistent theme and style all the way through it. But that's just not something I can do because I get the odd ADHD and I just get bored halfway through. I need to mix it up. So again, here you can see constructor building steel pipes, going into a assembler making stators. Similar layout but slightly different to before. So that's another thing I've talked about in other videos, is taking things you've done before and iterating on them. Like I was just saying about creating a consistent style, that's how you do that. You take a motif or a design, and then you iterate on that design. You adjust and you shift and you push it in every different way that you can possibly think. And that's what I kind of like to do as well, but then I like to start completely fresh sometimes as well. So in this next one, we have more assemblers producing motors, and I've tried, you go, look, a little, instead of keeping them all, just stacking one, just putting one slightly higher up. You can see here, this whole factory really is just me experimenting with different, I mean, this whole save, to be honest, is me experimenting with different ideas and different layouts, different design styles, different production methods, to see what I like, see what works, see what doesn't. Oh boy, this room. If you think you've got a lot of manufacturers, check this out. This is, I think, 40-ish manufacturers squeezed in this room here. One is by itself there, so it might be like 49 or something like that. It's some weird number. But yeah, it took a lot of jiggery pokery to fit all these in here. As you can see, it is super tight down here. There's a little tiny bit of clipping, but it's the space I had. I came to the end of this floor and I had, this is the room I had to build my crystal oscillators in. And I crammed as many manufacturers into this room as I could. Still managed to get a little bit of space down here. But yeah, this was a biggie. Would look cool if I'd lit this all up, to be honest, but like I said, I'm moving on now. Moving on, taking all these lessons. But yeah, it's like, got manufacturers? Yeah, I got manufacturers. Come on, fly. There we go. Yeah. A lot of manufacturers crammed into one little room. And then, similar to my other floor, I didn't have a logistics floor there. I didn't learn my lesson and put a logistics floor where you can see it there. We have more production. There is a logistics floor below it, but not quite as big as the other one. I'm going to just delete this because, like I said, I like the fact that this is a walk I didn't finish. The walkability of this area. There we go. So, more experimentation. This is a layout I quite like, and I've reused later in the factory, of having the refinery and then two assemblers in the middle like this. It's really neat. It works really well for things like production like this, circuit boards, the copper sheets on each side, and silica being brought in from elsewhere with water. And yeah, we've got several rooms of that, but it's a really nice look. And like I said, like mixing things up is the key to making things look interesting. Oh, pardon me. As you can see, lots of unfinished doorways floating in the air and stuff. There's a door to this one. Variety is the spice of life, as they say. And yeah, more manufacturers. This one, I've just laid them out. I was obviously trying to get this done a bit quickly. Yeah. But you know, I quite like having the walkway here. I like being able to see all the belts moving, and you can look in here and see. See, you're right at the right eye level to see this being produced. As many people will speculate is the quantum computer. Probably is. But anyway, so yeah, walkway placement, visualising those belts, making it look interesting, giving, again, different layers, different levels. You can see you go around there on one level, come up here on a higher level and see more stuff. I hope from seeing this you can see an evolution in my build quality and style, and you can see how I started off with very simple just layouts of like 10 constructors stacked on top of each other, up to more complicated things like this, where you can see all the computers going along a belt, where I've matched the belt speed so it looks really nice. We have a display of them going up at the end here, and the same you can see in the back here. Quantum crystal oscillators coming up and the other things coming down. So yeah, mixing it up, giving it levels, giving it a bit of decoration. That's what I like about this factory. You can really see how my style and how my building skill has evolved over time. And again, you see another level up here where I've put all the manufacturers in rows like this. You can see the things coming out of them. I've messed around with lighting them. So if you're down at the proper level, you get this nice underglow from a manufacturer, as well as framing the door with some belts that I needed to bring down. Now this is a good example of problem solving. I needed The crystal oscillators were down there. I needed them up there on the top, so I wanted all the resources to come down into the manufacturers from the roof, but they were on a level down. So I thought, well, let's make a feature of it. If you have a problem like this, turn it into something cool like that. You know, look at a problem as an opportunity to create something more interesting than you normally would. Again, even starting to experiment with how to put lights in and stuff. Obviously this was designed after Lumin. You've got access to go into the mess of clipping and belts over there. But we won't look at that. And finally here on this floor you can see where I've even leveled up that design of the two refineries and the assemblers in the middle, adding some bars and adding the nice belt speed so you can see the heat sinks going up, and adding design in between them to make it look really industrial. Venting in the ceiling, so it's, again, you can see an advancement there of something I've done before, like taking that style and like leveling it up. If you're going to do the same thing again, like, there's nothing wrong with that. Sorry about that. If you're going to do something again, nothing wrong with that, do it, but try and just level it up a bit. Come on, fly. Try and take it to the next level, try and take it to the next step to advance it. The logistics floor just next to that, and then we have this top floor. I will start this side, yep. And here's the culmination really of this factory, of like really taking it to the nth degree, really like pushing things. So you can see I've got this nice staircase I've put in here, little floaty staircase. Again, see I've used the walkways again here at the right level that I took from that previous build you saw. Down the middle here you see I've highlighted the outputs. I've tried to do some different levels here. I'm not 100% happy with it, but you know, adding depth in levels, as you talked about before in a separate video about adding detail, I think. And this is where I started using blueprints. This is a blueprint that you can lay down. If anyone wants these blueprints, let me know. I don't know, I don't have a Discord, I don't have anything like that, so not entirely sure how I'll get them to people, but if people are interested, we can maybe discuss it and figure something else. People smarter than me. Design details I like on this, I like these. Yeah. It's just two lights, one facing one way, one facing the other, but it gives it that nice little extra little tiny bit of detail and makes it look slightly different. And, yeah, we have walkways. And then down here you can see I've taken that, what you saw before, of me highlighting the inputs and taking it to the next level, basically leveling up. Always be leveling up in a proper way, not like the British government. Oh, we won't go into politics. And then into the next one. You can really see I've opened up the center, really used levels here to try and make it more interesting, spaced things out a lot, used like entrance ways, highlighted the production again, as you can see, going down there, and then they go loop under and then up. Really using the lighting again, this was after Lumin, so yeah, using space more as well. That's something I definitely want to take into my next save for 1.0. Space things out, don't cram everything together like I've done before. Oh, see, I'm finished. Didn't quite get time to put the stairs on the bottom. But again, experiment with lighting, really highlighting, giving it some space. This is where all the production comes out for this one. What's been made in here? Fuse modular frame, so there you go, there goes one. Giving them all, you know, their moment to shine is what you want to do. Space things out, give it the room to really show it, because if it's too cluttered, if it's too crammed, your eye can't rest on it, it looks messy. I quite like this as well. I'm going to definitely take this to the next one. Turn my torch off, giving it this nice little glow around the edge of the room. That's definitely a little detail you're going to see in my 1.0 save. But yeah, space. give things space. That's what I've learned from this floor. Give it time to shine. And so yeah, I mean, the only other things to really note about in this is I haven't really talked about the buses going between each one. I quite like showing the belts again. You can see it gives it that little bit of movement. You got the same thing down there. That bit over the back there is just where I receive plastic and rubber from my power plant. It's not very good. It's a bit of a mess. It's floating in the air. It needs tidying up, but like I said, this ending, I'm finished into this save. It's taken me about 2,000 hours. This is pretty much the only save I've got. I've been working on this since I started playing, and yeah, I'm done now. Bit sad, but we're on to 1.0. So that is that. If you guys have any questions about anything I've shown you here, or you want to know any more details about anything, I've kind of had to run over everything just because, I mean, my recording's already at 40 minutes. The video will be slightly shorter than that, but I thought I'd show you this factory, sorry, because I said I'm moving on now. I planned to do a big video on it when it was finished, but it's not, and it's not going to be finished. And I think that's the big final lesson for this, is know when something's finished. Whether it's something you just need to move on from because you're just spending too much time on it, like this. It's like I made the decision to go, right, I need to take a break before 1.0 before I burn myself out. I need to take that time away. That's important. Like I said, I'll come to that video with burnout, but that's one of the things, is like, don't overdrive yourself. If you're getting sick, take some time away from the game. Absolutely fine. Of course it is. It's just a game. And yeah, make sure you don't just let this consume too much time and you end up hating it. When something's finished, know it's finished. You can always add more detail. You can always add more production. You can always add more things. But sometimes you just need to go, right, I'm done with this and I'm ready to move on to the next project. And that's what I'm going to do. And that's what we'll see next. I'll be making probably maybe 1-2 more videos before 1.0 comes out. But not a crazy amount. I'm hoping to stream, should be able to stream here live on YouTube on September 10th when the game launches. I might try and do a simulcast between Twitch and YouTube, but I don't know. That depends if I can get a dual PC setup going, and I don't know if I'll be able to do that before 1.0. I know it sounds like a long time, but I'm a little bit busy before then. That's hence why I'm recording this now. And you won't see much from me for a bit. But again, thank you very much, guys, for responding to the subscriber shout that I did in the last video. I really appreciate all the love that my videos have been getting. I'm really glad people have been getting stuff from them. If you want to see anything specific from me, or want any deep dives or more questions about builds you've seen or things you've seen, please feel free to drop them in the comments. And yeah, if you want to see another rambly ass video like this one, click on this video here to see me talk about my nuclear build, which is another big mega factory build where I go more into how to plan a factory roughly. And yeah, thank you very much. I've been Scratch. I'll see you in the next video.